Good. And then, can someone tell me we are in, is this Act One, Scene Two?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Okay. So hello out there in video land. We're continuing with our reading and discussion of The Tempest, where we're reading smaller sections of the play and then stopping to discuss it until we're satisfied that we've done what we can. So at this particular point, we're halfway through Act One, Scene Two. And that is the scene where Prospero explains her to Miranda their history, how they came to be on the island as the only, quote, normal human beings. So he explained to Miranda to a certain extent, and then he kind of put Miranda back under a spell, and she went to sleep. And now he has summoned his kind of fairy-like creature who helps him. And he's, approach my Ariel, come. So this is enter Ariel. Ariel, please.
All hail, great master, grave sir. Hail, I come to answer thy best pleasure, be it to fly, to swim, to dive into the fire, to ride on the curled clouds, to thy strong bidding, task Ariel, and all his quality.
Hast thou, spirit, performed to point the tempest that I bade thee?
To every article, I boarded the king's ship, now on the beak, now in the waist, the deck, in every cabin I flamed amazement. Sometime I'll divide and burn in many places. On the topmast, the yards, the bowsprit, would I flame distinctly and then meet and join. Jove's lightning, the precursors of the dreadful thunderclaps, more momentary and sight outrunning were not. The fire and cracks of sulphur roaring, the most mighty Neptune seemed to besiege, and make his bold waves tremble, yea, his dread trident shake.
My brave spirit, who was so firm, so constant that this coil would not infect his reason. Oh, excuse
The
me, I read
soul,
that incorrectly. My brave spirit, who was so firm, so constant that this coil would not infect his reason.
the soul but felt a fever of the mad, and played some tricks of desperation. But all mariners plunged in the foaming brine and quit the vessel. Then all afire with me and the king's son Ferdinand, with hair upstaring, then like reeds, not hair, was the first man that leaped, cried, Hell is empty and all the devils are here.
Why, that's my spirit. Was not this nigh shore?
Close by, my master.
But are they, Ariel, safe?
Not a hair perished. On their sustaining garments, not a blemish, but fresher than before. And as thou bad'st me, in troops I have dispersed them about the isle. The king's son I have landed by myself, whom I left cooling of the air with sighs in an odd angle of the isle, and sitting his arms in this sad knot.
Of the king's ship, the mariners. Say how thou hast disposed, and all the rest of the fleet.
Safely in harbour is the king's ship, in deep nook where once thou calledst me up at midnight to fetch dew from the still vexed Bermudes, where she'd hid the mariners all under hatches stowed, who with charm joins to their suffered labour, I have left asleep, and for the rest of the fleet which I dispersed, they all have met again, and are upon the Mediterranean float, bound sadly for home for Naples, supposing that they saw the king's ship wrecked, and his great person perish.
Ariel, they charge exactly as performed. But there's more work. What is the time of the day?
Mid-season,
Ah, at least 2 glasses. The time twixt 6 and now must by us both be spent most preciously.
more toil. Since thou dost give me pains, let me remember thee what thou hast promised, which is not yet performed me.
How now, Moody? What is it thou canst demand?
My liberty,
Before the time be out? No more.
liberty. Remember, I have done thee worthy service, told thee no lies, made no mistakings, served without or grudge or grumblings. Thou didst promise to bate me a full year.
Dost thou forget from what torment I did free thee?
No,
Thou dost, and thinkest it much to tread the ooze of the salt deep, to run upon the sharp wind of the north, to do me business in the veins of the earth when it is baked with frost.
I do not, sir.
Thou liest, malignant thing. Hast thou forgot the foul witch Sycorax, who with age and envy was grown into a hoop? Hast thou forgot her?
No, sir.
Thou hast. Where was she born? Speak, tell me.
Sir, in Argier,
Oh, was she so? I must once in a month recount what has been done, recount what thou hast been, which thou forgettest, this damn witch Sycorax, for mischiefs manifold and sorceries terrible, to enter the human hearing from Argier, thou knowest, was banished. For one thing she did, they would not take her life. Is not this true?
sir.
This blue-eyed hag was hither brought with child, and here was left by the sailors. Thou, my slave, as thou reportest thyself, was then her servant, and for thou wast a spirit too delicate to act her earthy and abhorred commands, refusing her grand heist, she did confine thee by help of her more potent ministers, and in her most unmitigable rage into a cloven pine, within which rift imprisoned thou didst painfully remain a dozen years, within which space she died and left thee there.
See there.
And when thou didst vent thy groans as fast as the mill wheels strike, then was this island, save for the sun that she did litter here, a freckled whelp hag-born, not honoured with a human shape.
Yes, Caliban is her son.
Dull thing, I should say. So he is that Caliban, whom now I keep in service. Thou best knowest what torments I did find thee in. Thy groans did make wolves howl and penetrate the breast of ever angry bears. It was a torment to lay upon the damned, which Sycorax could not could not again undo. It was mine art, when I arrived and heard thee, that made gape the pine and let thee out.
I thank thee, master.
If thou more murmurest, I would rend an oak and peg thee in its knotty entrails till thou hast howled away 12 winters.
Pardon, master. I will be correspondent to command and do thy spiriting gently.
Do so, and after 2 days I will discharge thee.
It's my noble master. What shall I do? Say what? What shall I do?
Go make thyself like a nymph of the sea. Be subject to no sight but thine and mine, invisible to every eyeball else. Go, take this shape, and hither come in it. Go, hence with diligence. Exit Ariel. Okay, we stop here, and we
Yeah.
need a new Prospero and a Miranda. Shall we talk a little bit about this? Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. This is quite a thing. Just like he
Yes,
did with Miranda and telling her history, he's
it's about
reviewing.
to say so. Just about to say so. Exactly the same filler in, if you like, of how things came about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm, mhm.
I think
Very glad we're
someone
going
has
over it a second time because I didn't get that detail in the first reading. Just didn't get it.
say this again, Jess.
Right. I'm very glad we're going reading the second time.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get that detail first time around.
Uh-huh. And
Ziggurat from Caliban. So what does Caliban look like? He said of not of human shape.
Yes,
I think
well, I don't know. Hardly. It must have been humanoid to some extent.
yeah, I
Beyond
think so.
that, yeah.
And it's interesting that he calls Sycorax a blue-eyed hag.
That I thought was very interesting.
Yes, yeah.
You don't really think of witches normally as blue-eyed.
No. Certainly from the northern continent and not from Italy.
Where's
Mm-hmm.
Argier? Sorry, I look it up. Is that like made up?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have my book with me today. I have to look things up also.
Oh, it's Algiers.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's even more interesting.
Where, sorry, um, Orla, what does this refer to? Where's that?
Sycorax is from Argier, and it's an archaic term for Algiers.
Oh, yes, 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 yeah.
So that's even more interesting because he's saying this blue-eyed witch is from northern Africa.
So
The-
they're
the-
on
the-
some island between Italy and Africa.
Yeah, I'm sure there are.
wasn't
But
the fleet originally, the original journey of the fleet was returning from Africa after the King of Naples' sister had her wedding there.
Oh, okay.
I don't know whether that was Algeria or not.
I would think, why do I want to say it was Tunis? I don't know. For some reason, I think it would be Tunis because I think Tunis has a relationship with Italy. But anyway, getting back to Caliban, who has not entered, my impression of Caliban is that Caliban is a Hulk and is dark-skinned and is brutish in mind and body.
yeah, my note is that a savage and deformed slave. So it would almost suggest that he was more man. I mean, initially I'm thinking of Caliban as, more animal-like,
Uh-huh. Right.
but this kind of throws me.
What is this?
No, and this reference to Caliban being a savage and a deformed slave would
Uh-huh.
suggest that he's humankind.
Yeah, but in Ireland historically, native Irish were called savages,
Mm,
Yes.
and so now it's seen as a compliment. If something is savage, it's been absolutely brilliant. We had a savage night. It was brilliant.
mm.
Mm-hmm.
So the meaning has been inverted.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and you would have savages and say in the jungle and places.
Right. It's any place beyond civilization. But
Yeah.
in the Irish, actually, I was going to say that, that they kind of paint Caliban as how those scurrilous drawings that the English would do of the Irish
Mm,
as brutish and dull-witted, and
and
just put some dark skin on them, and you've got a Caliban.
mm,
But
okay.
what about Ariel? What is Ariel?
A shapeshifter.
Is she a shapeshifter?
Well, she's able to turn it. She's turning herself into a sprite, to a nymph. So I don't know. I,
And we now
Mostly
know,
spirit. I would think mostly spirit.
yeah, but we now know how the storm happened. We in
Mm-hmm.
the earlier part of this scene, uh, Miranda was working out that Prospero had something to do with the ship, and um, now we get the full story that
Mm-hmm.
the orders of Prospero, that Ariel was controlling the whole thing, and it gives a one.
At Prospero's command.
Hmm,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's a little technique that Shakespeare likes to use, which is first he has something happen, which we don't understand exactly how it happened, and then he comes later and has a character explain to us how that was done.
hmm,
And I think he did a really detailed job of telling us who was put where and what happened to the ship and, you know, the separation of Ferdinand. So Ferdinand is on his own.
hmm. But he was terrified. His hair was up staring like reeds, not hair.
I
He
forget
was,
what they call that fire that happens on ships. There is a phenomena, a weather phenomena that used to happen on ships to where the ship would look like it's on fire.
And Elmo's fire, isn't that what it was called?
Ain't almost fire? I think, yeah, I think so.
I think the thing about Ferdinand, this was part of Prospero's plan that Ferdinand, the son of the King of Naples, separated from everybody else, should meet Prospero's daughter Miranda.
Mm-hmm.
but is that the plan, or does
Yes, I
that
think that,
happen because, or does that
no, I
happen
think,
because he gives permission, but afterwards?
I think
yeah,
it's
but nobody knows that Prospero brought it all about at this stage.
All right.
yeah, they don't even know where Prospero is.
No, no. He's dead for the last 12 years.
Yeah, and they're in their mind, he is an ex-being.
No, Prospero wants his daughter to marry the future king of Naples.
Do you think so, Des? Where are you getting that from? I know he's been separated out and he's apart from the others.
Yeah.
Just on what Ariel's saying, is that what you're thinking?
No, it's just a general background of the events and
Mm,
Prospero orchestrating everything.
mm.
So
It's
Ferdinand is the son of the King of Naples and not Antonio's son?
yes, for King of Naples. Yes, what was his name?
Alonso, Alon,
Alonso.
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 Oh, and Antonio is his brother. Okay,
Antonius' brother. Yes.
yes, and he's the usurping. He usurped the Duke of Milan, who presumably is Prospero. Okay. Shakespeare doesn't make it easy. You have to,
Antonio was Prospero's brother.
yes.
Sebastian was the brother of the King of Naples, uncle to Ferdinand.
Sebast. Oh yeah. Oh yes, yes, yes.
I wonder, does anybody know enough Shakespeare? I mean, did they have intermissions in Shakespeare's time?
I think they must have. They really must have. The same way they would have had to have had flyers or some form of uh, informing the audience of the general plot before going there.
Um, well, I'm thinking that if they had intermissions, particularly if they had intermissions between scenes, because we had a radical scene shift. We're out on the ocean, and now we're in Prospero's home.
Yeah,
And
they wouldn't have had scenery as we would know it.
really, I
They
thought they
didn't
did.
necessarily use any scenery at all.
Really? Okay. I guess I'm too influenced by modern things.
There was no intermission between acts. A
No
performance
intermission.
likely ran about 2 to 2.5 hours with no intermission between acts. The fast pace and lack of scene changes were meant to maintain the audience attention. And the stage was minimal and did not have complex scenery. Instead, the company used elaborate costumes, props, and special effects like fireworks, trapdoors, and fake blood to create their worlds.
Okay.
All roles, including female parts, were played by young men and boys, as women were not permitted to act.
Okay. And were these affordable? I mean, could the
It was a
average person
penny.
in London easily afford to go see a play?
There was no fixed seating. Groundlings stood in the open air pit for a penny, while wealthier patrons paid more to sit in the covered galleries. So
Okay.
I'd say they were very popular.
There was also the facility for the audience to make their feelings known about the play as it was going on, even interrupting the actors.
They could hoot and holler.
Yeah, hoot and holler. Yeah.
Huh.
It wasn't unknown that they could bring a play, not necessarily Shakespeare's play, but bring any play to a halt because they didn't like it.
Oh, well, that would give one incentive to write good plays.
Yeah. So they weren't sophisticated.
Not as we would know it. It
I
must have
suppose
been
the question
fairly.
is, sorry, Des, I
Go ahead.
wondered, did they play for the court before they played for the like a general audience, or did did they get the response first from the general audience and then the court go, oh, we'll have them perform here? Which way round was it? I'm wondering.
I know
think
that
I think the politics of some of those plays would necessitate getting a bit of a prelim before they go ahead into the court. Some of it was very close to the bone, some of his comments in the plot.
Yeah, I know that they perform King Lear. They put on special performance for King James at King James's place, I believe. Kind of like kind of like they did in Hamlet, where the players showed up and performed in the great hall of the court or someplace. Hmm. Well, I thought that he did a pretty marvelous job in and pretty clear in explaining to Miranda who she was and how they came to be. And I think that he did a pretty good job in his discussion with Ariel in very efficiently telling us what's going on. And
Mm.
Dave Little is here. Dave, we have just completed the first little thing between Prospero and Ariel, where Ariel explains to Prospero what he did concerning the ship and the people on the ship. And then they have a kind of an argument where Ariel's trying to remind Prospero, hey, remember we got a deal here.
Right.
And then Prospero's pretty heavy-handed in explaining to Ariel why Ariel should be eternally grateful to Prospero and don't be so pushy.
You know, and if you've already talked about this, I apologize for the repetition. And again, for the others who don't know, sorry to be late. My granddaughter had an activity at her school that I needed to attend.
Yeah.
And so, at any rate, when I read it this morning, I was thinking, Prospero's learned. He got booted out of power because he kind of retired and he wasn't exercising his power. And so power loves a vacuum. His brother took over. Not here. There's a hard edge to him, isn't there? When he's kind of telling off Ariel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He makes it very, very clear.
He does. Who's in charge?
Yes. No longer the naive.
Yeah.
No, that's right. That's right.
Yes, he seems to have completely reformed his ways over the 12 years.
Right. Yes.
Well, he's as I sometimes will state, I'm not smart, but I am trainable.
That's brilliant. I'm going to use that with my wife sometime. I'm not smart, but I'm trainable. That's very good.
Yeah, well, I mean, I will say, like Prospero, I've been incredibly naive at times in my life, to the extent that it's amazing I survived.
Right.
But I think that getting he was supposed to be killed by his brother. His brother had sent him out to be killed, I believe. It wasn't exile. He was saved by some of the people who were gonna kill him. It's the old fairy tale thing where the little prince or princess is supposed to be taken out in the woods and slaughtered, and instead the people who do the slaughtering take mercy and they deposit them with an old woodcutter and his wife, or the old fisherman and his wife.
Right. Yes,
And
correct. That's the end of the story.
Yeah, it fits this part. But anyway, we had a fairly lengthy discussion about the skill with which Shakespeare, both in the scene with Miranda and in the scene with Ariel, has given us the back picture. And I believe it was Des or somebody made the point that, wow, this is a lot of material. I mean, we are fortunate in that we have the written text in front of us.
We are.
But to hear all this information from a stage and keep up with it, you need a reasonably talented and aware audience.
Yeah. Has anybody else seen this staged?
No, I've never seen it.
No, and for me, it's so long ago that I don't remember. But I'm thinking that this scene would be hard to keep the audience's attention because there's a lot of there's a lot of explaining, but not a lot of action. And if you're an attention deficit type like myself and Miranda, because he keeps asking her, "Hey, like, are you listening? Do you hear what I'm saying?" You know, it would be a challenge to keep the audience's attention here. And is it like Scheherazade in Arabian Nights in a Thousand and One Nights, where the story is just so riveting that you can't not pay attention?
I think there's a great deal of emotion, though, both in
Not
the
true.
scene with Miranda and in the scene with Ariel. And I think, well, to take the Ariel and Prospero part of the scene, by them having an argument, I think they're able to orally hammer the points
Right.
and to keep the audience's attention.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, some of the stuff's so bizarre too. I guess you'd have to pay attention because basically Prospero's going, "Hey, babe, like when I met you, you were in a tree." You
Yeah,
know?
hey, yeah, right. Come on, you're gonna give me some crap? I
Exactly,
rescued you from that witch.
exactly right. You, you were hanging out inside a tree as a captive.
Right, right. But there was a discussion earlier among us that brought up the interesting point, which is, did the audiences know what they were getting into before they actually came to the play?
Yeah,
So that's one thing. Did the audiences know? I mean, like now, I'm going to go see a movie tomorrow. I went to Rotten Tomato and I read some reviews of it, and I kind of know the basic outlines of it. Did they have that sort of thing available to them? Two, were there spaces within the performance for people to talk to each other about it? I think the answer to that question was no, they didn't. It all moved along pretty quick. And then I asked the question, was this affordable? Meaning, could I, as the average citizen of London, go see it multiple times? Or did I just get one chance to see it?
well, there was the pit, the infamous pit, which is the equivalent of the cheap seats, where I think you stood and watched. Now,
Mhm.
um, and these were people who didn't have a lot of money. But your question is well taken. I don't know. Would they really, even these folks for the cheap seats, would they have had to scrape and scrimped in order to go once?
Yeah.
In the rebuilt Globe in London that they finished there a few years ago, there's no seating in the pit. It's as original as they could get.
Okay.
There's no seating in the area on the ground.
Okay.
So people could move around and generally communicate with each other, whether it's about the play or otherwise.
Mhm.
A very open place.
I'd forgotten that. Thanks. I'd forgotten that. We saw Romeo and Juliet, but being like rich tourists, we sat up in the balcony. Thanks, Des. I forgot about that, and that makes sense, doesn't it? That if they're standing, they can move around. It's not like when you buy a seat and you got to get everybody to stand up so that you can get it. These guys can move around.
Yeah. Like in this part that we were reading between Prospero and Ariel, the description of the events of what Ariel had done, that would, drag on after a while. But then, as you say, Shakespeare introduced a bit of petulance
Mhm.
into it, and some righteous, almost anger into Prospero. That would pull people's attention right back.
True. That's right. Conflict, of course.
Conflict, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would, and Ariel is giving it right back. I mean, Ariel makes it pretty obvious that she's not. I guess it's a she. I don't know what's gender Ariel is, but whatever gender, Ariel makes it pretty clear that they don't completely trust Prospero.
Oh, no, no, she has to make it absolutely clear that he couldn't function without her.
Right.
Mm.
He's-
Good point.
Good point.
I've got a note here in my introduction. The Tempest is generally thought to be Shakespeare's last single-handed play, the only one apart from Love's Labour's Lost, to boast an original plot. It dates from between September 1610, when some of its source material, brackets, the so-called Bermuda pamphlets, first reached England, and Hallowmas, 1st of November 1611, when it received at court its first recorded performance. Is this for King James?
Yeah, it would be by that time. What's the date again? 1610?
Yeah, it dates between 1610
Right.
and the 1st of November. Sorry, between September 1610 and the 1st of November 1611, when it was received to court. Some scholars have supposed that the Mask of Ceres, does anybody know that, in Act 4, was added for the second recorded performance, again at court, in the winter of 1612 to 13, as part of the festivities preceding the Princess Elizabeth's wedding in February.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So we'll have to remind us of that, Sylvia, when we get to that particular part. Remind us that that was added on.
So wonder what the so-called Bermuda pamphlets. Anybody?
Bermuda is mentioned, I think, here, isn't
Yes,
it?
yeah, it's a
Okay,
little
right.
different spelling.
Okay. Let me do a search here. Let me do a search, Sylvia, and I'll see what I can find. By the way, James took power upon Elizabeth I's death. She died March 24th, 1603.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And it's called the Bermuda Pamphlet?
Pamphlets. First reads. And they're saying that's some of its source material.
Oh, okay, okay.
What's that?
So there was a shipwreck.
All right.
There's a note here. We can easily allow the play to contain many passages suggested by the misadventures of the Virginian voyage of 1609, when a fleet of 9 ships and 500 colonists under the command of Sir Thomas Gates and Sir George Somers was dispersed by a gale, and the flagship, the Sea Adventure, went ashore on the coast of the Bermudas,
Hmm.
her
Oh,
crew wonderfully escaping. That Shakespeare used at least one or two out of several pamphlets dealing with this wreck stands above question.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Okay.
But the dates are very close, aren't
They
they?
are very close. Well, 1609, according to
Hmm.
what I've got, this was 1609. The 1609 shipwreck of the Sea Venture that are believed to have inspired Shakespeare's play.
Hmm.
And William Strachey's True Repertory and Sylvester Jourdain's A Discovery of the Bermudas, both published around 1610, described the shipwreck and the experience of surviving on the island. So this is like up to the minute news being
Yeah,
performed.
that's really,
There's another here. The folio editors, old friends of his and fellow actors, may have given it pride of place for this pious reason, or possibly because it had won a striking success at court when presented there in the winter of 1612-13, among many entertainments that graced the betrothal and nuptials of the Princess Elizabeth with Prince Palatine Elector, 1612-13.
Hmm.
yeah. So, but it just gives you an idea, or maybe he updated it, but an idea of how fast he wrote the play. I don't know. I mean, that's an inference you could maybe draw here.
He did write amazingly fast, I believe that's pretty clear. And he actually, from what little I know of the sources, um, he didn't do much besides write plays and present plays. Um, you know, now that he's reputed to have had a number of amorous affairs, but he didn't. Apparently, he wasn't a nightlife type guy, and he spent a lot of his time writing plays. And he did have the advantage of there being plagues, and during the plagues, there was not much for him to do but write plays because they couldn't
We,
present them during the plague.
so we can understand that given COVID.
We can understand that given COVID. Yes, we have some personal experience with the matter.
And that's how we all became Joyceans
Hmm.
and Shakespeareans.
Hmm. Hmm. So the True Repertory by William Strachey, published in 1610. Strachey's detailed and poetic account is considered a strong source for the play, including descriptions of the storm, the shipwreck itself, and the island's flora and fauna. And then we have another pamphlet, A Discovery of the Bermudas by Sylvester Jourdain, also published in 1610. Jordan's work described the shipwreck from a survivor's perspective. It referred to Bermuda as an enchanted place and helped shape the island's mythical quality in the Tempest. All right, great. Fantastic.
So where does that leave us?
Well, the question is, does that complete our discussion of this particular section? Or do we have further issues to discuss here? And the scene between Ariel and Prospero.
I think we've got a lot of background, which really sets us up to move forward, I think.
Okay. Great. Great. So I think the next scene, we need well, Dave, you want to take over in the casting part? We need a Miranda. He's going to wake her up.
Okay, so it's going to be if we are where I think we are,
We are where the Ariel is left. Exit Ariel.
okay,
And Prospero says, "Awake, dear heart, awake. Thou hast slept well. Awake." And
okay,
then Miranda wakes up.
okay. Can you give me a line? That would help.
And mine, it's between 360 and 365.
Okay, great. I'm way out of it then. Okay. So has Caliban come in yet?
No, Caliban is going to come in very shortly.
Right.
Miranda wakes up. There's a
Got it.
few
Got it.
sentences, and then
Okay.
Caliban was there within 12
Okay.
lines.
So I'll take Miranda then. And I assume we have a Prospero. Would
We had
somebody
a Prospero. It's time for someone else to do Prospero, though.
Okay. Why don't I do that? Because I think there are a lot of lines and I didn't even read it all last week. I've been freeloading. So I'll do Prospero.
Okay.
Could you do Miranda Orla? Would that be all right? And Des, do you want to try Caliban?
Well, we need to get Sylvia. We need to get
Yep.
Sylvia
Sylvia
in,
could
and
be
we need to
Ariel.
get. Okay.
I'll be a
Sylvia could be Ariel. And if you could do Caliban, Des, and I guess when Ferdinand comes in soon, I guess that would be you, Duncan. I think we've covered the bases there. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's
Want me to be
everything.
Ferdinand? I'll be Ferdinand,
Yeah,
sure.
if you could. Okay, so is everybody kind of good on that? All
Young,
right.
handsome guy that's typecasting
You
him.
bet. You bet. Boy, I'll tell you. Couldn't have picked a better one. There we go. All right, so, okay, exit Ariel. Awake? Dear heart, awake. Thou hast slept well. Awake.
The strangeness of your story put heaviness in me.
Shake it off. Come on. We'll visit Caliban, my slave, who never yields us a kind answer.
'Tis a villain, sir, I do not love to look on.
But as 'tis, we cannot miss him. He does make our fire, fetch in our wood, and serves in offices that profit us. What? Ho, slave! Caliban! Thou earth, thou, speak!
There's wood enough within.
Come forth, I say. There's other business for thee. Come, thou tortoise. When? And then Ariel comes in like a water nymph. Fine apparition, my quaint Ariel. Hark.
Hold on, please. Oh, excuse me.
My lord, it shall be done.
Thou poisonous slave, got by the devil himself upon thy wicked dam, come forth.
Enter Caliban.
Caliban comes from
Caliban?
this is somewhat different from what I have. Anyway, Caliban, as wicked Jew as ere, excuse me, as ere my mother brushed with raven's feather from unwholesome fen, drop on you both. A south wind blow on ye and blister you all over.
For this be sure, tonight thou shalt have cramps, side stitches that shall pen thy breath up. Urchins shall, for that vast of night, that they may work, all exercise on thee. Thou shalt be pinched as thick as honeycomb, each pinch more stinging than bees that made 'em.
I must eat my dinner. This island's mine, by Sycorax my mother, which thou takest from me. When thou camest first, thou strokest me and made much of me, wouldst give me water with berries in it, and teach me how to name the bigger light and how the less, that burned by day and night. And then I loved thee, and showed thee that all the qualities of the isle, the fresh springs, brine pits, barren place and fertile. Cursed be I that I did so. All the charms of Sycorax, toads, beetles, bats, light on you. For I am all the subjects that you have, which first was mine own king, and here thou stay me in this hard rock, whilst you keep from me the rest of the island.
Thou most lying slave, whom stripes may move, not kindness, I have used thee, filth as thou art, with humane care, and lodged thee in mine own cell, till thou didst seek to violate the honour of my child.
Oh, would had been done. Thou didst prevent me, and I peopled else this isle with Calibans.
Abhor- Abhorred slave, which any print of goodness will not take, being capable of all ill. I pitied thee, took pains to make thee speak, taught thee each hour one thing or other, when thou didst not, savage, know thine own meaning, but wouldst gabble like a thing most brutish. I endowed thy purposes with words that made them known, but thy viled race, that thou, though thou didst learn, had that in it which good natures could not abide to be with. Therefore wast thou deservedly confined unto this rock, who hadst deserved more than a prison.
Taught me language, and my profit on it is I know how to curse. The red plague rid you for learning me your language.
Hag seed, hence, fetch us in fuel, and be quick. Thou art best to answer other business. Shrugs thou malice? If thou neglect'st or dost unwillingly what I command, I'll rack thee with old cramps, fill all thy bones with aches, make thee roar, that beasts shall tremble at thy din.
Oh, pray thee, I must obey. His art is of such power I would control my dam's good Setebros and make a vassal of him.
So slave, hence, exit Caliban. Duncan, I'm just going to ask here. You're set to come in as Ferdinand. I'm
Yeah.
looking at the time.
Mm-hmm.
We want to discuss the Caliban scene
Yes.
first. Would that make more sense?
Yes, I think so.
Okay,
Mhm.
because I think there's quite a bit here.
There is quite a bit here.
I saw that this play was banned in 2012 in Arizona.
Could you say that again, please?
I, when I was looking up The Tempest, I saw that this play was banned in 2012 in Arizona
In the
as
state of Arizona?
unsuitable. Okay, wait, I look it up again. Unsuitable material.
Okay.
Okay. There's a couple reasons why it could be declared unsuitable, I think, but I wonder what reason the Arizona used.
It was on the banned list of books I'm looking up.
Some pretty rough discussion here, dialogue here.
It was
It's heavy.
temporarily removed from classrooms in a specific Arizona school district as part of a broader ban on ethnic studies programs in 2012. While not a complete ban, the book was also subject to a proposed policy in one Pennsylvania school district in 2025. The themes of race and depression were deemed divisive under law.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, no, it's a problematic play in that regard. I mean, it's this whole thing, I mean, talk about uh nationalism and imperialism and racism. We got it all right here.
I see that the film that was made of it in 2010, they used Helen Mirren. They changed the gender of Prospera.
She'd be lovely in that role.
He would be lovely in any role.
So true, Duncan. So
He
true.
would be lovely as Caliban himself.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely.
But you think you're going to be reading The Tempest. It sounds like it's about a storm and it's pretty light. And then there's all the context of what was acceptable then and what would not be acceptable now.
Um, well, Shakespeare must have known that he was making some sort of heavy criticism of imperialism or
And colonialism.
colonialism. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
the Arizona approach there, it reminds me of the saying, if you don't talk about it, it didn't happen.
mm-hmm.
He really is the ostrich head in the sand stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, Duncan, how are you seeing this as a criticism of imperialism slash colonialism?
Well, here let's go to line 395.
Okay.
I must eat my dinner. This island's mine by Sycorax, my mother, which thou takest from me. So he's making a claim to the island. When thou camest first, thou strokest me and madest much of me. Would give me water with berries in it and teach me how to name the bigger light and how the less that burn by day and night. And then I loved thee and showed thee all the qualities of the island, the fresh springs, the brine pits, the barren place, and fertile. Cursed be that I did so. All the charms of Sycorax, toads, beetles, bats, light on you. For I am all the subjects that you have. When first was mine own king, and here you sty me in this hard rock, whilst you do keep me from the rest of the island.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a pretty quick description of colonialism and imperialism right there.
Doesn't he
And the
undercut?
immediate
Sorry, Des,
and
go ahead.
the immediate response, literally immediate, is a curse on you for doing this. Cursed be I that did so. All the charms of Sycorax, toads, beetles, bats light on you. I mean, that's heavy stuff.
That is heavy stuff, but remember that this is okay, so yesterday was Thanksgiving. Okay. So the actual meaning of Thanksgiving was when the first pilgrims came, that the local Indians took pity on them because they came at the wrong time of year and they were dying off and they were starving. And the local Indians helped them establish agriculture, and then they had a celebration feast. Okay. And it was the Native Americans who set it up first. Okay, which is kind of similar to this thing about, Caliban showing them all the qualities of the place and where the water was and, you know, the fertile soil and all that sort of thing. So, from Caliban's point of view, yeah, Prospero came in, was nice in the beginning till he learned the lay of the land, and then he Prospero took over. Now we do have a kicker involved in this, the classic one, where um, Caliban, according to Prospero, um, tried to have sex with Miranda. Line 410, thou most lying slave, whose stripes may move, not kindness. I have us thee, filth as thou art, with human care, and lodged thee in mine own cell, till thou didst seek to violate the honor of my child. Which must have been when Miranda was absurdly young. Caliban, oh ho, would it had been done! Thou didst prevent me. I had peopled else this island with Calibans. And then Prospero puts up his argument for why he was really a nice guy and he tried to treat Caliban humanely, but Caliban screwed it up and it's all his fault.
It's interesting too that Miranda taught him language, right? Which is
Does it say that?
it's interesting too that Miranda, abhorred slave, which any print of goodness will not take, being capable of all ill, I pitied thee. Took pains to make thee speak, taught thee each hour one thing or other, when thou didst not, savage, know thine own meaning, but would gabble like a thing most brutish, I endowed thy purposes with words that made them known. But thy vile race, though thou didst learn, had that in it which good natures could not abide to be with. Therefore wast thou deservedly confined unto this rock, who hadst deserved more than prisons. He says, you taught me language, and my profit on it is, I know how to curse. The red plague rid you for learning me your language.
Your language.
Yep.
Yeah. It's got everything. It's got everything in colonialism, hasn't it?
It does. It's
And
it's quite
and
quite
al-
marvelous, actually.
and also he's a captive as well. He's got a prescribed territory or area. Is kind of what I'm getting out of that.
Yes, you mean
Not
deservedly
free,
confined unto this rock thou hast deserved
mm,
more. Mm-hmm.
so he's been completely overpowered.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bit like saying, the British came to Ireland and India and they civilized them and gave them railways and
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
but they took away, but particularly in Ireland, they took away their language, they destroyed their religion, everything,
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah,
they were civilizing them.
that's correct. That is always the two big. I mean, I experienced this in my lifetime. My father was an engineer for Standard Oil of New Jersey. My father's theory was that it was a good thing that we had gone to Venezuela to get their oil because the Venezuelans wouldn't know how to do it, and that we should preserve our oil in the United States and pump oil out of every other country around the world. This is my father's idea. He told me this. So we would end up um, helping civilize those people, and we would be paid for it with their oil, and then when their oil ran out, we would still have plenty of oil. And
That's exactly.
my father was what was called a Stevensonian Democrat, the most enlightened of the Democrats.
You're pretty dumb. But that's pretty much what Trump is doing today with Venezuelan oil. He wants it.
Yeah.
But it's even before that, because Michael Palin. Do you know who Michael Palin is? Anybody?
Yes.
Des probably knows in Orla. I had
Mhm.
a program about Michael Palin, and he went to Venezuela and he went down to Maracaibo. I mean, I've been to Venezuela, but not to Maracaibo. And he went to Maracaibo. And what happened was that since the left wing governments came in, they put sanctions on the oil. They cut back on what they could, uh, what do you call it, dig or whatever. And so they've created the problem and the poverty
Yeah.
there by their policies in relation to Venezuela. I mean, I just find that really shocking, that program.
Uh-huh. Actually, if you look at I actually know Maracaibo. Our oil came from Maracaibo, but Standard Oil and Shell put their refineries on the islands of Aruba and Curacao because they considered the Venezuelan government historically unreliable. And so they did not want it to be in Venezuelan national territory. So Gulf Oil put their refineries in Lake Maracaibo. But if you look at, there are videos on YouTube that will show you what happened when the American oil companies left Maracaibo. They left it in the shambles.
Mm, yeah. And
It's a freaking disaster that they left it.
but they can't compete. That's the whole thing. I mean, they're like Calibans. I was really shocked
Mhm.
and upset to see. I mean, and Michael Palin did it in a very dispassionate way. He just
Okay.
talked to people. He didn't really have an opinion, but
He
he
was
just,
trying to present it objectively, as they
yeah,
say.
yeah,
Just the
yeah,
facts, ma'am, nothing but the facts.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Hey, that's precisely what the British did in India.
Mhm.
When the British went into India, India had about 20% of world trade. When the British left India, India had 3% of world trade.
Mhm.
Economically, they did not help India.
no, but their perception is that they did.
But the
Yes.
perception of all imperial powers is that they are an ultimate good for the countries that they take over, and they are
The
bringing,
Portuguese and the Spanish went into South America,
yeah,
to enlighten everybody, to bring religion to them, to save them, and all this sort of crap.
yeah,
Utter
yeah, yeah, yeah,
nonsense.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, what I always like in the British case, Um, it all sounds really good. All of their justifications for imperialism on paper sound really good until you look at the life of the common person in London during the rise of imperialism, and you
Yeah.
see the vast slums and the exploitation of everyone below the middle class in London itself.
Yeah. We had
So,
the same in Dublin, exactly the same.
same in Dublin.
Some of
Yeah,
the worst slums in Europe.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yep.
And everywhere
And
I saw that in Derry when I started working, that people were living in tenements,
Mhm.
with layers of families.
Mhm.
I've never seen, and we were handing out um, gifts from, these charitable organizations at Christmas. Poverty was,
Mhm. Pretty horrific, I would imagine.
mm,
Yeah. Well, the way that you're able to do that, the way that this happens is just exactly what has been done with Caliban, which is that Prospero obviously is making the argument that one, he civilized Caliban to the extent that he taught him language and gave him some schooling, and that he would have done more, except that Caliban threatened Prospero's daughter Miranda. Therefore, he had to turn Caliban into a slave. Okay. And so here in 1612, we have Shakespeare making uh, the whole argument.
in front of the king. You know, I mean, he's
Yeah.
really doing it. I mean, it's like taking a play to the White House. You know, you know,
here's at this stage.
yeah. But can you imagine? But he's doing it, and with this ugly Caliban. So people are abhorred. I don't know what Caliban looks like because none of us have. Oh, Dave has seen the play.
Yeah, so long
We,
ago I've forgotten it though. I have to be honest.
you
Well, he's
know,
dark-skinned. He's dark-skinned. He's a Hulk. He speaks crudely. Of course, he's not speaking his language. He's speaking Prospero's language. This was my joke about when we went to Aruba, when Standard Oil of New Jersey went to Aruba. We taught all the native people English because you know English was a superior language, and almost no one knew the native languages, Papiamentu. So, but
People learn English now because it's the language of business
yes,
and air traffic controllers.
True.
yes, yes, and it's the language of business and air traffic controllers because of the British Empire and the American Empire.
It would have been interesting if, when the United States were being formed, that they had the choice of choosing English or German as their base language, but they chose English. It would have been a very interesting situation had they chosen German.
Yeah, but the Germans, I mean, there were a lot of Germans that came late to the United States. This was not, I mean, really the original European populations in the United States were English and French. And then after the Haitian Rebellion, the French decided that the New World was too much trouble, and they basically sold most of their properties uh, to the government, the U.S. government, and they retreated everywhere except in Canada.
They were already out.
Hmm?
They were out by 1760 of Canada. French control. I'll be very clear. The
Okay.
control that the government of France, that the King of France had in Canada, terminated in 1760, prior
Okay.
to your American War of Independence. Now, there were French people here, of course. They
Yeah.
didn't all leave, but they became a British colony at that point in 1760.
Okay. So the French withdrew. Why did the French government?
Oh, they were defeated militarily here.
Oh, okay.
Battle of the
Okay.
Plains of Abraham in 1759, and then the Treaty of God. I'm going to say Versailles. I think the French had a choice of keeping either Quebec or let's call it New France as it was then, or the
Hmm.
island of Guadeloupe, and they opted for Guadeloupe because it produced sugar for their rum, is my understanding.
Right.
And so you had this very interesting situation. I mean, which continues to this day, where you had this island of francophones in an otherwise British colony. Well,
Right.
in a British colony, quite unique. And
Uh-huh.
that's, I mean, and this is a very big part of our Canadian story. These two cultures.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would
Was
say
the
also. Sorry, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
what was the problem the French had in the southern states, Louisiana or wherever, that they had to get out?
That
Haiti,
was,
Haiti was the big prize.
you know,
Haiti.
Haiti was
Oh,
the big prize. And other islands, other sugarcane islands in the Caribbean. That was the big prize. There was a slave rebellion in Haiti where the many of the French colonialists and landowners were killed or imprisoned. And I don't know the entire details of it, but basically the French government decided that it was too much trouble. And so they started withdrawing from the Caribbean basin. And then after they withdrew from the Caribbean basin, which extended up to New Orleans, then they started looking at their territories in the western United States. And I don't know who did what, but they ended up selling. It was called the Louisiana Purchase.
I think it was Napoleon who sold it, but I can check that.
Yeah, I think it was Napoleon who sold it
Okay,
also.
fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
The Treaty of Versailles was the end of World War One.
Correct.
Um,
It was another one. There were several.
it was the Treaty of Paris in 1763.
Thank
Uh,
you. Thank you.
I only know about the Treaty of Versailles because there's a painting by John Lavery,
right.
and he was an Irish artist who was a war artist, and he was asked to, they weren't allowed to paint anything that was actually happening in the trenches, so he got to paint the people signing the Treaty of Versailles.
Mm. Hmm. Okay.
Yes, thanks, Orla. I'm just looking it up. I thought there were several, but the only hit I get here is the one in 1919. So thanks. Yeah, it would have been the Treaty of Paris. A little embarrassed that as a Canadian I'd forgotten that. I used to teach it actually. So good for you to call me on it. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, coming back to Shakespeare, this is a very interesting dialogue happening between Caliban and Prospero. Very rich vein to explore.
I would just say, because I know that we're a little bit over time, that this is one reason why I so appreciate looking at a book in community, because I'm not a person, unlike the Irish and Duncan, you had experience as an observer, but I'm not part of a colonized people. I'm part of the people who did the colonizing here in Canada. And
Mm-hmm.
I never looked at this scene. I never looked at it from this point of view.
Oh,
And I mean,
okay, okay, okay.
I'm
Well,
metaphorically
I
sitting
was,
back in my chair. You've put me on my heels, and this is a very good thing. I just never saw it that way.
yeah. Well,
Thank you.
I was the child of a colonizer.
There you go.
And I became very aware of it because, ironically, in these power things, and I've said this before, I hope I don't get too boring, but I saw the company turn upon its employees in my last years of high school,
Right.
where the company had decided that they had too many foreign staff, and foreign staff were expensive, and therefore it was time to get rid of the foreign staff. So my last 3 years of high school, I watched the colony. We literally called it the colony. Go crazy as all these men who had come to Aruba, largely from the United States, were getting laid off early and given early retirement. And there was a big struggle within the employees to try to hang on as long as possible. And it was a very ugly sight. And I kind of, that's when I became kind of politically aware
Right.
of how these larger entities will use people until they have no longer have a use for them, and then they'll just cast them off.
We came very close to that here in Dublin in the last few years, where the IT crowd, Google, Microsoft, and those, they began to cut back. And they had a tremendous number of American employees,
Mm-hmm.
and they had that same serious problem,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
worry exactly where this was going to end. It started up in the during the COVID crisis,
Mm.
but of course the IT system changed afterwards. The whole thing has changed. The IT system has finished. It's now AI.
Yeah,
But
and AI is going to be, I mean, this is the interesting thing. I mean, for all the promises of the benefits of AI, which there could be, except for the fact that they are controlled by a particular group of people.
yeah,
And
it is a serious problem. There's so few on the top making the decisions.
yeah, yeah. And here we have, I mean, we see this reflected in Prospero and Caliban way back when.
Yeah.
So we will come back next week. I think we probably still have some discussing to do of this particular scene.
Okay,
Although,
so do you want me to mark it then? Let me just go back at enter where Caliban speaks his first lines. Um,
we should ask if there's more to discuss on that,
okay, sounds good. So
and then we would go on. Any new reading would begin with, is it Ariel or Miranda coming back in?
just a sec. Hang on.
Seed, we got Caliban. Then we enter,
No,
oh,
it
we
ends.
enter Ariel, invisible, playing and singing, Ferdinand following. So that's
Okay,
the new reading.
okay,
That would be the new reading.
all right.
And then we should, we may have other things to say about the Caliban Prospero part, or we may end up just being content with what's been said so
Okay,
far.
yeah. So yeah, okay. Something to think about. Is it possible to take this straight up and just that Caliban is a different creature, not a different race, but a different creature, a different sort of creature, and that he represents a certain darkness. And I would just maybe think about it during the week, and we could pick up there if people want to. So that, yeah, pushing aside the anti-colonial business, just yeah.
Yeah, what can I say? Preliminary review is no, that's an excuse. He is
Okay.
not a different creature,
Okay.
but he is given that sort of, I mean, okay, so I'm going to say J.D. Vance
Right.
is making the argument that when the white people came to the New World, child sacrifice was everywhere.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Right.
This is an up to date, and you can see what he's trying to do.
Um,
They're trying to make Calibans of everybody else through a simplified history,
Well, it's a false history, actually.
a false history. Yes. Yeah.
If you were a contemporary critic, would you call that othering?
I would, as a sociology student. Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Yes. Yes. And with the implication that if someone is other, there's only two choices. You either have to get rid of them, you have to make slaves of them, or you have to change them.
And
Yes,
would you
but
call
what they
that
did,
shame? Sorry, Des.
go on, Orla, go on.
No, I was just going to say, is change, does that mean assimilation?
Yes, where they become second class white people.
Yeah, but that's what they did with Caliban. They tried to bring him or it or her or whatever into their socio-complex
Mhm.
and then rejected him, destroyed him, because he lost his originality of who he was and what he was and became part of them. But then they rejected him and they buried him in a hole.
Yeah.
It's as much othering as you could get.
And now we do have the unique thing. Caliban is on his own. That's the thing here. But in terms of actual cultures, I mean, in the United States, we destroyed Native American cultures wholesale. It was actually the biggest genocide ever. We don't call it genocide because it happened over hundreds of years.
Term is used in Canada, so you know.
Term is usually okay. Yeah, I use it, but it's a different than, we like to think of genocide as only happening in a very limited period of time, and it's all very dramatic. Um, anyway, thanks everybody.
This has been great. Yeah, thank you so
We
much.
Much,
sh
folks.
we shall continue
Right.
next week.
Great.
I'll try to keep the politics out of it. I just wanted to make sure that we, brought it in explicitly, and then we can kind of say, well, okay, fine. But for the purposes of this play, we will just consider Caliban to be this creature who Prospero tried to be nice to until Caliban attempted to have sex with Miranda, and then Prospero put him in a hole and only brings him out when he's got slave labor to do.
Yeah.
See you later.
Take care.
Good night.